The polar bear approached the dog, but what happened next is beyond words. A polar bear in Canada has been seen playing with a new dog friend at the same sanctuary where a predator ate a husky last year. Video taken at the Mile 5 Dog Sanctuary in Churchill, Manitoba shows a polar bear trying to befriend one of the tied-up dogs. The large carnivore is being friendly, playfully pawing at the pup and tugging on its chain. The dog, a rare sled breed impervious to the cold, doesn't really like the attention. Patricia, the witness who shot the video earlier this month, said, "We were out at polar bear watching with some visiting friends when we noticed the polar bear go wandering up to one of the tied-up dogs and casually started playing with it. It was funny because we'd watched the same bear the day prior at a distance." Patricia said the bear played with the dog for about 7 minutes and then wandered off. She added, the bear would step on the dog's chain when the dog would try to run away, and with the other paw he'd tug on the chain to get the dog closer to him. But last year, Mail Online reported how a similar encounter ended in tragedy when conservation officers were called to remove 3 polar bears from the site after one of the animals attacked and ate a sled dog. The dog had been chained up at the time, and it was believed that the bear had simply been hungry. The sanctuary is used to breed sled dogs, who according to previous owners are rarely bothered by predators. If an attack occurs, it's usually made by wolves. It seems like a scene straight from a children's book. From the distance, a magnificent polar bear emerges and walks towards a small dog lying in the snow. As the bear approaches, the dog cowers and the giant predator stretches out a giant paw to pet the vulnerable canine. But unfortunately, despite a recent video showing this incredible behavior, 2 days later the bear returned to kill another dog in the pack. The video was filmed not far from Churchill, Manitoba. Tourists come to the town every year to see the bears in their natural environment. There are very strict rules governing how to interact with the creatures. Basically, no contact, no feeding, and don't disrupt them as they go about their business. At this time of year, the bears are actually fasting as they have returned to land to wait for the sea ice to reform. On the other side, the encounter between dog and this bear didn't end well. This is the moment a fearless guard dog took on a giant polar bear more than twice its size and won by scaring it away. The huge bear approached the working dog who's used to pull sleds through snow in Churchill, Canada. But rather than running away in fear, the determined dog stood its ground by baring its teeth and growling at the polar animal in a startled frenzy. The curious bear seemed to approach the dog, eager to make friends with a smaller animal. But eventually the bear, who was considerably larger than the dog, was forced to make a retreat and trudge away into the distance from the fiery animal. The incredible moment was captured on camera by photographer Alberto Panizza while he was visiting Manitoba in Canada earlier this month. He revealed the fearless dog was also chained up to stop it from escaping and went into survival mode when he saw the bear approaching. The 39-year-old also said that the dog's owner, a local breeder, claims his pets are the strongest in the world. Mr. Panizza from Parma in Italy said, "The dogs live not far from a town where polar bears often pass through. This one seemed to be curious, and even though much bigger, it was eager to make acquaintances with the dogs. Even if they're trained to fight bears, the dogs usually seem afraid. But either due to their survival instinct or pure madness, they sometimes throw themselves at the wild giants like this one did." But on the grounds of one property near Churchill, tourists can pay to see the wild bears interacting with chained-up sledge dogs. The attraction run by a local is highly controversial to say the least. By feeding the dogs out on the tundra, it also attracts some of the hundreds of bears that gravitate to the area surrounding Churchill each year, and rather than trying to prevent this from happening, the owner of dogs instead capitalizes on it. He leaves his dogs chained up outside and simply throws them meat to feed them without supervision. One of the major measures in place is the polar bear jail that is used every year to incarcerate problem bears that have wandered into the town in search of an easy meal. They can then be airlifted out onto the ice once it forms. A main tenet of the town is to not under any circumstances feed the bears. This would make the world's largest land predator associate humans with food, something that the authorities are keen to not let happen. Therefore, the bears that visit the property are not only a threat to the dogs themselves, which are known to not only get mauled but even killed by hungry polar bears, but also to humans as the bears start to associate humans and dogs with food. And when a habituated bear turns up at an unsuspecting person's door or tent searching for scraps, which animal do you think will get the bullet? In fact, days after the viral footage was filmed, conservation officers had to tranquilize not one bear on the property but 3, including a mother and her cub. So rather than being something cute and cuddly, what we're really seeing is something more akin to Jurassic Park with a T-Rex and the goat.